So, oh, Chris.
I thought I should actually, you know, wear something a bit glitzy tonight because I've been seen on deck in those dreadful shorts. A fat belly and a t-shirt, darling. But at least I'm in the retreat. I paid to be somewhere VIP, darling, unlike the rest of you.
Oh, saucer of table 3. Hang on, what's the...
There's something missing on this table.
There is something missing on this table.
Champagne, darling.
Champagne. Would you like to click your fingers and see what happens?
All right.
Oh,
I
gosh.
can't click them.
Nothing.
It's my diamond ring. Thank you, taxpayer. Oh, darling. Now this is what life is all about.
Your special surprise.
Oh my God, I love it. Sweetie, what's your name? Huh?
This is Wes from the Headliners. Everyone say hello, Wes.
Hello, Wes.
He didn't sign up for this.
He gets paid, doesn't he?
This was not in the job description.
Oh,
There
thank
we
you,
are.
Wes. And that's my favourite too, Verve. I love Verve.
You're welcome.
Thank you
That's
for
what
that.
we do. That's okay.
I'll be expecting another bottle naturally, darling, at the 10:30 show when I shall be paralytic. I'm telling too much the truth.
Too much of the truth. That's what. Oh,
But there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, yes!
spillage. Clean up on aisle 3.
This is why we're
Sam's
not
raging.
dancing up here, isn't it? Oh, Wes, you're doing that brilliantly. Even though you are a bit wet. Isn't cruising lovely?
This is the life.
I know it is the life. I'm very, very lucky. Thank you for having me on board, darling. Thank you. Why not?
As well.
And
So,
a video.
let's start as we mean to go on. Cheers.
Cheers.
Well
Yeah.
done. Great to see you.
Go on.
Cheers, everybody.
Everyone.
Fair winds, following seas. Plenty more cruises to follow.
Supplied them all with champagne. How wonderful.
Yes, we put it on your account.
Thank
No.
you. I do get 50% off, you know. That's...
Now, Craig, we're going to talk a little bit about you.
Yes.
You're an Australian, British dancer, choreographer, director.
That's it.
Which of those three is your favourite?
Well, I like all of it because I'm into the theatre. That's how I got Strictly, actually. But I was born in a place called Ballarat in Australia, which is in the state of Victoria. And that's, if people that don't know, is about an hour and a half from Melbourne. And that's sort of heading sort of north-west, if you like, from Melbourne. And it was a city built of gold, darling. It made its name untold. Yes, that's Ballarat, and it's home sweet home to me. No, that's a song that we used to sing when I was a child, and we still sing it to this day.
And how long were you there?
Not long, I was just born there, darling.
Oh, I was going to say, 'cause you've kept the accent.
No, my dad, well actually, I did school there for a couple of years, really, but I started school actually in Ferrum, near Portsmouth, because my dad was in the Navy and he was here doing his officer training on HMS Eagle, and at that stage officers needed to do that in order for the Royal Australian Navy. So every 2 years we had a different posting and we were sort of pushed around the globe, really. So we were, as kids, I have 3 sisters and a brother. My sister Diane is here and on the cruise with me this time around, which is lovely too. And I've got 3 sisters and 1 brother. One sister that's older called Sue, and then there's me, and then there's my sister Di, and then my sister Melanie, and then my little brother Trent. But I sort of left home when he was a kid anyway, so I didn't really get to know him until later on in life, to be honest, because when I started dancing I was immediately sort of out on tour and I was never really at home. But I was born, as I say, in Ballarat, but then we moved absolutely everywhere. But most of my schooling life was spent in Sydney, and my love, I think, of music came from my teacher who was teaching, well, I was in the recorder group up in Sydney. You may laugh, darling, but I played the recorder at the Opera House, at the Sydney Opera House. Not many people can say that, can they?
Was it outside?
It was. Well, honey. Oh, no, it was inside in the concert hall, which was absolutely gorgeous. And then I progressed to more, you know, sensational instruments like the French horn and trumpet. which I ended up playing actually in Ballarat when we moved, because we're in Sydney for 6 years, because Dad was posted there. And every 2 years I changed schools, so I went to a different school, even in Sydney, even though we're there, I went to a different school every 2 years. So, so I never made any friends, that's probably why I'm such a bitch today.
Blowing your own trumpet.
Thank you, darling. Yes, I'm ambidextrous. So, moving swiftly along. We moved from, well, Dad left the Navy, and then we went back to Ballarat, and then they didn't have a French horn at the school, so then I had to study trumpet. And that's sort of actually how I got involved in dance, in a way, because I was sitting in the orchestra. I always wanted to be on the stage, but they wouldn't let me. I was always having to be part of the orchestra, and my sister Sue, I remember, was in Oklahoma. You know, and I auditioned to be on the stage, but they put me in the pit, which is probably where I belonged anyway. And, but I was complaining about being fat to Amanda, who was first trumpet, I was second trumpet, and she said, oh, I go to these exercise classes, like every Thursday, and I said, oh, that'd be interesting, maybe I'll try that. And then she double-dinked me on her bike down to one of them after, you know, school. And they were sort of like Jane Fonda aerobic workouts, I suppose, back in the day. And I fell in love with it. I could just pick it up really easily, but it turned out to be actually jazz ballet that I was doing. And then the instructor of that class said that I should join the local Ballarat Lyric Theatre, which is an Amdram group that my mum sort of runs now. Thank you, Mum, she's taken on that legacy for me. They're doing Cats next year, if you want to fly to Ballarat and see it. It's just a little plug there for you, Mother. And at the local theatre, which is a wonderful, wonderful theatre. So that's how I sort of started, because I remember getting paranoid, actually, about my weight when I was a kid, because I had to run around the oval. I came back from Easter because I won a colouring in competition when I was 12. It's a bit late, I know, but I just made the age range, and I won it, and then the surprise was me having my photograph on the front page of the Ballarat Courier with a big bear and a big, huge Easter egg that I'd won, which was enormous. And after that sort of Easter, I ate that whole thing and became sort of quite fat. And then my PE teacher said, oh, you must run around the oval with your shirt off in front of the whole class. And of course, from that moment on, everyone called me Tits. So I thought I should do something about it. And then I went to these classes, and they turned out to be dance classes, and then I moved on and just found a love for it, and found that actually I could just look at it and do it without any real problem. So I was very musical at school, and I suppose that did help, because that was ingrained, you know, in my body and my psyche. So I found it really good to move my body to the music, you know, and then I had more formal training, then moved to Melbourne for even more formal training, and then I got West Side Story, which was my first show ever. And there is a person in the audience who you've probably seen limping around the ship as well, who I danced with in that show, and he is here on the cruise, and that's my good friend Stuart McGee, who we call Magatha. But you can all call him Magatha, because he loves it. Not really. But I would love you to all call him Magatha. But he danced with me in that show. He was in West Side. And of course, as soon as I joined the company, the closing notice went on the board. So I was only in it for 2 weeks, and that was on my opening night. The closing notice went up. So I closed that show, darling, but then I moved on to bigger and much better things, the Black and White Minstrel Show. Yes, and Magatha was in that with me, and we blacked up every night for a year. So it was really, really good. It was great fun, although politically not correct now, obviously, because no one can do that anymore. No. For obvious reasons, darling. I mean, the theatres were being picketed, and we couldn't work out why, you know. I think, a young dancer, it was a job, you know, that I just wanted to dance, so I sort of took the job. But it was a painful experience. We had like 18-hour bus trips you know, to places in the middle of Australia, you know, they were really hot, and we were wearing all the British companies' costumes, which were all thick velvet, you know, really humongously, like three-piece suits and really difficult, sweaty stuff to dance in. But after that, I did a selection of shows in Australia, namely the Cage Folle, which I absolutely loved. We did that in 1985, and that of course has come around all again, as these shows do, as West Side did, because I ended up directing that and I ended up choreographing and stuff. So I had a varied career actually in Australia and didn't stop working, and then that led me to working at the world famous Lido in Paris, which was great, because I got to, you know, just wear a G-string and a blue fish on my head. And I can thank Magatha for that too, darling. Thank you, because he got me the job there. And I spent 8 months there. Then I trained to sing in French at the Moulin Rouge. And then I was sacked after 2 performances and moved to London, darling. But then I got Cats, which was fantastic. And I did the Danny LaRue show, which I absolutely loved. That was the first job that I had there. Then moved on to Cats, which I absolutely loved. And then I ended up in Miss Saigon. Actually, after doing a Les Miserables audition, I didn't get that show, and that's the only one I really wanted. They said, oh, but we can offer you Miss Saigon, which was a new show in the West End at the time, which turned out to be really spectacular. And actually, that was then the beginning, I suppose, of my directorial career, because I became dance captain of that show and worked under really great directors, and then I trained as a director in the next show which I did, which was Crazy for You. Then I put that on all over the world, and then I came back and then I did a show called Martinguer. Probably no one really saw it, sadly, but it was a fantastic show. It was brilliant in the end. And then I trained under a wonderful director called Declan Donnellan, who was an absolute genius. And I loved his work, and I loved what he did, and I knew that that was to be my vocation. I knew at 30 that I did not want to be standing in the back row of the chorus, kicking my legs when there's 16-year-olds stood next to you. You know, it was really, going to auditions was really, really difficult, I remember, because just in that final year that I was dancing, I just thought, you really can't keep up. Plus I had shoulder injuries, my knee was going and all of that. I since had hip replacements and good only knows what. But I just thought I need to do something else. And a lot of dancers do forget that, actually. And so I became a choreographer and a director. And I've been doing that for the last 20 years and absolutely loving it. And then, of course, you know, Strictly came along and ruined my life.
And breathe. Right.
Next question.
I only asked how you were. Now let's talk Strictly then. You've been in it from the very beginning.
I have. Yes,
what was it like from the? I mean, how did you get the job?
Well, it was May 2004, and I remember clearly because it was my first West End show that I was putting into the West End as a director / choreographer, doing the whole lot with a brand new musical, and that was called Beautiful and Damned. And the producers of this show called Strictly Come Dancing said they were auditioning people or screen testing directors, choreographers, and all sorts of, you know, people from the ballroom Latin world, people from choreographic world, and they wanted 4 different people to represent the world of dance, I suppose, because they didn't want to limit it to strictly ballroom and Latin, because that's well, then you get only really one opinion in the end. So I thought, what a daft idea. I thought it was a terrible idea. I just went, that's going to be the death of me. I said, there's no way I'm going for that. And then my agent said that I really should try and find an hour in the day to go to the beach, just sit there, answer a few questions, look at a video, whatever. And I said, no, I really don't want to do this. And then they did a phone interview with me. And they said, how would you feel if you... and I put the cast together, and you know, I love all these people that I put together, and then I make a show with them, you know, and this was very different. It was inviting celebrities that are known not for dancing to dance with professionals, and I couldn't see how that was ever going to work. How could anybody in their right mind think that you could learn to dance in 2 weeks? You just can't, when it's taken all of us our entire lives, you know, to achieve, and especially when dancers start at the age of 3 and then burn out, you know, after 30. And I just thought it was a mad idea. Anyway, I went for this interview. They put me in a chair like this, put a microphone on me, put about 5 cameras around me, and then there was someone pretending to be Bruce and someone pretending to be Tess, who was standing over that side, and then I had a couple of people who are runners or whatever. They're the people that get you coffee and stuff like that, you know, at the bean. They were sort of standing in for professional dancers, and then they had a little television screen like this, really small, and they said, well, here's a, you know, a pad and a pen if you want to make some notes. And they were filming me the whole time, and then I was watching this video and I saw this poor woman, this wretched woman trying to walk down the stairs. I was going, oh my God, she's kind of walked down the stairs, darling. I was like, this is going to be hopeless. And then I saw this guy dancing with her, and who was the professional, but he had bowed legs. And I said, well, if that's the professional dancer, he's got these really, you know, you could drive a semi-trailer through his knees, darling. I said, that's not. I said, this is, I don't know what this is. They said, and then they asked me sort of at the end, just, you know, about it, and I told them what I thought. And then they said, can you sum up, you know, what you've just seen before you in 3 words? And I said, yes, darling. Dull, dull, dull. Because the first show we ever did was scripted, and that's the first thing that actually came out of my mouth, which then branded me this ghastly, you know, vile person, and which is not true at all. And of course, those people turned out to be Natasha Kaplinsky and Brendan Cole that I was looking at. But I didn't know her from a bar of soap, darling, and I've never heard of him either, really, because I'm not from the ballroom and Latin world. I said, what do you want with a choreographer that is really, you know, West End, tapping, contemporary, modern, Cicchetti ballet trained? What do you want me to talk about when it comes to a rumba? You know, I did think it was rather strange. But then, when I met Led Goodman, I understood why they needed me on the programme. You know, all that old-fashioned stuff, darling, honestly. Let's not get into an argument about the music now. But it is quite strange. Anyway, I got the job and I did it, and Len and I said backstage, this is the worst thing. This is like going to really hamper our careers. You know, I mean, he said, I am an adjudicator, a proper judge. You know, ballroom Latin has been my world for the, you know, for the last 60 years. Well, there was 50 at the time. No, he's 70 now. We go up in 10-year increments. I'm 50, Bruno's 60, Len's 70. Well, I'm now 51, but that means Bruno's going to be 61, so that's good. So it was quite strange, and then we were just bitching backstage, saying that it's going to be terrible, it'll come off air after 3 weeks, that's what we gave it. And actually, after 3 weeks, the great, delicious British public bought it, hook, line and sinker, and everyone was absolutely in love with it. And it's gone from strength to strength to strength. It's been amazing, actually, that they re-employed me, I think. I must be one of the luckiest or unluckiest people in the world, really. I'm lucky, actually, very lucky, and I'm very grateful for it as well, because it's the fame game is sort of always a bit of a problem, especially walking out the front door after the first time we ever did it and being recognised. That was horrific, because I like, as a director, to sit in the dark and let all the people on stage become the stars and shine, you know, and I direct them and choreograph them to make them the best that they can be and make the show the best that they can be. But it was really different walking out into the street when people are sort of abusing you, you know, grannies slapping you across the face, supermarket trolleys into the back of your knees, that sort of thing. You know, it was quite odd, actually, quite odd. But fame has its price in various ways, I've got to admit, you know, and it's been good in the way that I can now support fantastic charities, you know, with the future Queen of England, darling, gorgeous Camilla. Well, she probably won't be, but I'm pretending now that she's my dearest friend and sends me Christmas cards every year. We work for a charity tirelessly for the National Osteoporosis Society, which has been great because the fame thing and all of that has been great to support these charities and raise, you know, hundreds of thousands of pounds, which has been fantastic. You know, I would never have been able to do that if I wasn't on the telly. So there's a good side and there's a bad side. I haven't had a relationship, however, that's worked because of it, but I don't care about that. You know, when there's people like Wes around, darling, who wants to be stuck in a loveless marriage? You'll soon find out, darling, 48 days and counting.
This is about you, not me. No. Let me go back to some of the things that you said about 45 minutes ago. Now, you said it was probably going to be the best thing and the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Yeah. Did you ever think, I know you said you gave it about 3 weeks and you thought, that's all it's going to do, it'll die. And then after,
darling, on that other programme on ITV. There is more money in ITV, of course. But we don't do it for that, darling. We do it for the love.
Do it for the love. No, that wasn't actually the question.
Oh, I know. What was the question? Did I answer it?
Yes. That one was a yes or no. But but what it was, I mean, how did that kind of change your world when you think back to a stage in your life when Strictly was just. You hide it so well.
A lot of people are. And then they do believe what they read. And I find that alarming. And the betrayal, I think, is the worst thing. Your friends, I haven't had family yet, darlings, do it. Well, one's pretending, well, she thinks she's writing a book. I said, no one's going to buy it. Right away, darling, right away. But no, it is difficult. And as I say, the good thing that comes out of it is you can stand up for, you know, charities that you want to actually support and be heard and raise, you know, enormous amounts of money for that sort of thing. I don't think it's quite, I would hate to be Madonna, for instance. You know, I think that sort of life would be horrific. You know, I'm just a judge on a BBC TV programme. You know, I don't have to live my life like that, you know, and plus it's a loved format and a loved show, and just the viewing figures sort of say all of that. And actually, I think the first couple of years people did hate me. Can someone move that child, please? Some people, you know, I think, you know, thank God I'm not her, and thank God I'm not famous for that. Although I have moved back into performing, you know, which I absolutely love, because I was in Annie for 6 months, which I adored. And it was great going back to the boards again, and especially after the hip and all of that stuff, you know, I didn't think I'd be ever to be able to do that again. And it's been fantastic fun, and I've been so blessed and lucky that that has been available to me as well. And I guess it's on the back, well, it is on the back of Strictly, because you do, as you say, become a household name, but only known really for, you know, holding paddles from 1 to 10, which I don't find particularly, it's not brain surgery, is it, darling? You know. And that's why I could never do what Len and Bruno do. They have to travel to America and their whole lives are about these paddles, and that would drive me nuts. You know, I have to be creative and have freedom, and that's what I love about the theatre. I could never give that up. The job I'd give up would be the Saturday job, which is the Strictly one. Yeah. If, you know, if I had to choose between it, one is creative and one is, well, still creative. Strictly is creative because you've got to be spontaneous.
Yes.
You've also got to be honest about what you see, and you've got 1 minute 30 to actually view that and what.
And you get all your answers out in 1 minute 30, which is incredible.
No, I generally just use 3 syllables because I'm the last one to speak generally, and then I've got the producers coming up to me saying, Craig, we need a 10-second to 10-second hit. I'll say, oh, what is it? One word, darling. So I try and spread it out like, Fab, you lust to take up 10 seconds. Bruno is the one that takes us over the edge. Bruno doesn't shut up and doesn't talk about anything. You know, like he'll go on for 2 minutes, you haven't learned anything about the dance at all. You know, it's always about hoovers and God only knows what, isn't it? But the birds would chirp, but darling, when they see this thing and they dance and like a wonderful thing. You know. Oh, thanks God I'm up the other end. I had that in my contract that I will never sit next to him. And even on the tour, because I can choose the seating plan, Len goes in the middle, Bruno's over there. I mean, there's only so many chairs one can fall off, you know what I'm saying? Really.
Now let's talk about the persona of Craig Rebel,
yes.
because we've already very briefly touched on it.
Excuse me, madam. Where do you think you're going? Bad throat. What, is she going to sing an opera for us, darling? Chesty cough, all right. I'm glad she's gone now. But I think it's, what was I talking about? I thought that woman interrupted me.
No, we were just talking about your persona. I mean, were you always this glitzy? Were you always this kind of
Oh no, the persona,
glamorous?
you're talking about that. Yes, we all wear a hat. I mean, you don't go into work, do you? And you can't, you don't have the same relationship with your staff as you do with your wife, for instance, do you? So I put the judge's hat on, and for that 1 minute 30, it's my job to let the people at home know exactly what went wrong, to be honest, I think.
So we all need to thank you, effectively.
Well, yes, that you know something, at least a little bit about a waltz that is set in 3/4 time, you know, so that's one good thing. And I don't like thumbs being up, I like them down, darling. So at least everyone at home can say, Craig won't like that, darling. Thumbs up.
Yeah.
You know, so it gives everyone, you know, an informed choice to make then when I think they do their voting, which I think is good. In the beginning, we used to have to teach people there was always a waltz is set in 3/4 time or 6/8 time, you know, if it's Viennese, and just letting people gently learn. But now everyone has become so dance savvy in the world. It's brilliant, and it's great that you guys are all judges. Because I wouldn't like to actually judge the final in that way. I wouldn't like to have the decision that Len has, and I do think he makes mistakes. I've got to be honest. With some of the decisions, he seems to just go against me rather than what's actually happening in front of him. But then that's just me being a bitch because I'm not head judge, you know. But he doesn't get any more money, you'll be pleased to know. He just gets the title.
Just the title. Now, he also, as you mentioned earlier on, Bruno and Len fly off and they do Dancing with the Stars in America.
Yes.
Now, as you say, your characters effectively have been kind of duplicated. Now,
yes.
Word on the street is,
Anything that works on Strictly when we're doing it live, you'll repeat in America, and you can actually get the American tapes and see that for yourself. But you know, I don't mind. I'm talented enough to come up with my own one-liners. So I don't have to borrow from anybody else, thankfully. Unlike him. Even though he does have a serious amount of knowledge about dance, you know, and I love him for that because I do have to thank him for teaching me, you know, the 10 dancers, because I danced them because I was so paranoid in the first year. I said, I need to secretly come to your dance studio and learn all these dances. And that's what I did. And he was vile. Oh my God. He was absolutely, heel, heel. You know, it was like terrible. He was really shouting at me. Last year I was doing Annie on tour, doing shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then travelling down for the show on Saturday. Then I'd get one day at home to repack the suitcase, and then I'd be opening the Annie again on the Monday. And in Panto, when I start that, it's 7 days a week. And it's Panto's a slog, it's 2 shows every single day. So there's 12 shows plus Strictly, you know, it's quite a killer, and you can be burnt out quite easily. But I'm, you know, a sadomasochist, darling. I love it.
Apart from
and then
cruising,
my mum can fly business class because of it too. You know, she won't go back to economy. I tried that. She won't go back. my family every year. And that normally is directly after Strictly finishes on the 14th of February. And it's a really nice time of year to go out to Australia as well, because the weather, it's not too hot, it's just perfect. And I normally always spend 6 weeks doing that every
So over
year.
Christmas?
No, not over Christmas. No, February, darling.
No.
I've just said that. You're not listening.
You said the 14th of December, did you not?
No, February,
What's
darling.
that?
Valentine's Day.
Oh,
That's what
right,
I said. I
sorry.
want my boyfriend. You're so insensitive. Anyway, I normally do that. I didn't this year because I flew them out. So they're all here. And then next year I'll be going back and then collecting the family and then bringing them back. But my sister dies 50th. So that'll be good.
There we are.
Happy birthday for next year if I don't make it, darling.
And if he's too busy?
Yeah. No, it's busy, and I'm very lucky to be busy, but then I create this for myself as well, you know, because I love it, and I would hate to give it up. It's like any artist, you know, with the painting, that's what you love doing, and you would do it for nothing, and I would, and I have, you know, so I continue to do that, and I continue to support, you know, the National, you know, Teachers of Dance and all of that stuff, and as much as I can, you know, and do talks similar to this, raise awareness, raise money, you know, because it is quite a struggle for dancers. And I have a bursary thing in Australia where every year money is, you know, given to young choreographers because they need to go and train, and sometimes they need money for flights and stuff like that. So that bursary is sort of great for them. So there's a lot, you know, can be done with your gorgeous taxpayers' money. Thank you so much for making me a multi-millionaire. I really do appreciate it. So keep paying your TV licenses, darling. Otherwise I don't get paid.
There we go. I've just seen Richard from the BBC actually give a thumbs up and write down that you actually said you would do it for free. Enjoy that.
I've just signed for 2 more years on Strictly, so he's stuck with me for another 2 years. So.
Oh, well, we're all happy about that, all the ladies and gentlemen. We're all happy about that.
Maybe that means we'll get 2 more years of cruises as well.
Potentially. You do love a cruise, don't you?
Yeah, I love it. Well, I come on for the full 2 weeks this time. Only this is we had the family here, but I'm coming on the next one as well, Britannia, because I've not been on Britannia yet.
Well, no, you were there for the.
I was there for the boozing and
there
the
with the
champagne explosion and all that stuff.
Yes. All the good stuff.
All the good stuff. I haven't actually sailed on her yet, so I'm looking forward to that. And there's one more that I'm doing, and then there's I think 4 next year as well. So it's really good. I'm so pleased that people love them and support the dance, and it's so great to see people all around the ship going to dance classes. People that, you know, because it is nerve-wracking. I think for a beginner, or for anyone that's never done it before, and especially on a ship, to get involved and sort of be, you know, doing all that.
The motion of the ocean.
Yeah, all of that stuff. But I think it's really great, and I think it's really, really brave of the people that have entered the competition as well. You know, I say that now because I'm going to be hateful on Wednesday night.
No, you won't. No. You'll be nice, darling.
Yeah, no, it's great. And they really, you know, on Strictly, it's really difficult to get tickets, but, and I know it disappoints people, and that's why we do the tour, so you can actually go there and see how it's filmed, and, you know, we do it as much like the TV show as possible, and to give everyone a chance to actually see it. But it's hard to get it. But going back to the costume thing, the BBC have you have to get dressed up, you know, in the audience. I remember the first time I looked back at the tapes and I completely forgotten. But there were like little tables and chairs and everything in the audience. But now it's so popular they have to cram as many people as they can into a really tiny space. But and it used to be just on one level. I mean, it's grown so much, and it's so brilliant, I think, for Saturday night entertainment to be family driven, because there is very little of that in the world now, and it's so nice, you know, that's at a time where you can have dinner with the family, you can have even a party with your girlfriends, or, you know, and guys are getting involved, generally because their wives are watching it. But if you see me being swamped, avoid me. No, it's not like that at all. But it's great, and I love meeting you all, and I think it's fantastic that you do support, you know, Strictly, and support the dancing and the cruising, because they go hand in hand. I think it's wonderful. It's such good exercise as well, and also It's a really social thing to do. You know, it really is. And I don't slag off any sort of dancing. You know, I think line dancing has its place, darling, in the world. Don't stand at the front, is what I'm saying. Back line.
Well, on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time that we said good night and thank you to Mr. Craig Rebel Horwood, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.